Welcome, everyone, to our monthly complimentary class. I'm so glad that you joined us today. It is a beautiful day here in Hawaii. I have a ton of pomegranates on my pomegranate tree. They're getting red and beautiful. As long as the birds don't eat them, I'm going to be very happy. Now, you may hear my birds today, but you also might hear my grandkids. They're going to come over for a little while. My daughter has a conference call, so I've got a few little ones out in the pool, and they're going to hopefully be quiet. That was their instruction, but you never know with kids, do you? So anyway, today we're talking about communicating with impact, and I've got to tell you, this is one of the most important things that we can learn in our business. It really is an important thing to learn, and I know that sometimes what happens is that people end up with I'm trying to get this thing to show the right view. So I don't know if it's showing a big picture in there. Somebody write into the chat box and say, yes, you can. It's showing me as a big picture and maybe nobody else. I don't know what exactly it looks like on your end, but on mine, it's still showing a little tiny picture. But hopefully, if you can type in the chat box and say, no, you can see me and it's a big picture, that would be very helpful. Oh, I'm in the big picture. This is so exciting. Thank you, Cheryl, for bringing that to the forefront. All right. So communication, my husband has been in the hospital for a month and he just got out. And I just really am so aware of how important communication is. And sometimes when it's bad, it's not good. And when it's good, it's really good. And we're very thankful for good communication. But I know that sometimes communication confuses people and our lack of communication. So my hope is that you're going to get a lot out of today and you're going to be more aware of how you're communicating with other people. And sometimes we get in habits and we communicate with the people that we love maybe differently than we do with other people. So just notice yourself. Notice how it's landing. Notice what is people's response? They might not say anything. What is their body doing? Their facial expression, their eyes. What are they looking like? Teenager, hands up, that's a hint. So we want to get really, really good at this. And particularly in the profession of direct selling, communication is the most important thing you have, whether that is with your customer, whether that is with your team, whether that is with a new prospect that you're trying to bring onto your team. Communication says a lot about you. So we're going to take some time to think about this and begin practicing some of the skills that I'm going to talk to you about today. I've had this saying since probably 40 years. It is slow down so you can speed up. Slow down so you can speed up. Sometimes we just need to slow down a little bit so that we can run. Slow down a little bit and think. Slow down a little bit and see. Slow down a little bit and recognize what's going on with the other person. So taking the time to slow down. So that's just something that is important to you. Now, if you are only seeing the gallery, Susan, just go up to the top where it has view in the top right-hand corner and put speaker. And then you'll see a big picture of me and a little picture of everybody else. So let's get started. I told you a lot of things that we were going to talk about today, and we are going to have a master class on this that is going to go in depth into these subjects and more. So take a look at what you're learning today and know you're going to learn about 10 times that amount when we do our master class on August the 19th. So let's start off with enlightened vocabulary. Some of you have heard me talk about this. I've been using that term for about 20 years. And I've learned the power of enlightened vocabulary. It's enlightening to you when you use these words and phrases for yourself, and it's enlightening to other people when you use this type of language. I'm going to have you draw on a piece of paper a line down the middle of the page and then a line across the top of the page. On the left-hand side, put a minus sign and put disempowering. These are disempowering words and phrases. On the right-hand side, put a plus sign and put empowering, because these are empowering words and phrases that can empower you and they can empower other people. So let's talk about a few of these, because you may have some that you know you're using, but you didn't really realize they were disempowering to you and other people. And maybe you'd like to get something that could be moved to be empowering in that place. You can type that into the chat box and I'll make sure I give you something that will take its place, because it just takes your energy. It's a little bit of taking away from you when you're using disempowering words. You know, I met a beautiful woman, and she uses enlightened vocabulary, and I think that's really what saved her life. She had a horse fall on her, not once, not twice, 3 times in one setting. A little tiny, tiny person. She doesn't match in our family. We don't have anybody that's a little tiny, tiny. They're all quite muscular, I'll say. So anyway, this little tiny, tiny person had fell off the horse. Then the horse tried to get up and fell on her, and then she kind of got out a little bit and then it fell again. So it fell 3 times. And she's never said, since my disaster, since this tragedy, since this horrible event, she's never spoken like that. What she said in that day when I talked to her, since the adventure, since my life adventure, and I thought, what a good way to look at that, because it did bring forth a lot of new things in her life. And it was an adventure. She just reframed it herself. Everybody go like this. Take your hands up at the top and make a new picture frame around yourself and your words and what you're saying. You can reframe anything. And the key is, if you use a word that's disempowering to you, that you reframe it immediately. If you can say it differently out loud, it's better. If you're with somebody else, you may not want to do that right then, but you can do it in your own head. Just take a little pause. Just slow down for a minute. What's a word I could replace that word with? So knowing that you're going to be learning a lot about enlightened vocabulary and how to use words. You know, one of the big words that people use in direct selling is, I'm overwhelmed. I'm curious, how do you feel when you say, I'm overwhelmed? Type into the chat box the feelings, the emotions that come up for you when you hear somebody else say, I'm overwhelmed, or when you say, I'm overwhelmed. Anybody? Lack of control, anxiety, chest pressure, stress. I feel lost. Overwhelm is a word that is a victim word. If you're speaking as a victim, you will show up in our world as a victim. So left-hand side, overwhelm is a disempowering word. So on the right-hand side, you can say something just different. Like, instead of I'm overwhelmed, a lot of people that are overwhelmed feel like they have too much to do and they don't know where to start. That's where that lost word comes in, where they just don't know where to begin. They just feel like they got too much and it's out of control and they can't do it. So on the right-hand side, I have unlimited opportunities. I choose to prioritize. I have unlimited opportunities. I choose to prioritize. Make the choice to prioritize versus being stuck in overwhelm. A lot of people go through life telling themselves, I am, I am, I am. And the I am things, whatever you say behind the words I am, stick to you like glue. You say I am, they stick to you like glue. That isn't a very fun place to be. I am exhausted. How do you feel when you say, I am exhausted? Go ahead and type it into the box. And you can't use the same word to define it, exhausted. I'm exhausted. No, I am exhausted. You're very tired, extremely tired. What does that do to your energy to tell yourself that? It zaps it. Very true, Amy. So the idea is, instead of saying, I'm exhausted, I create my own energy. What can I do right now to create more energy? You don't want to be stuck and exhausted. And people that do that get in the habit and they stick in that habit. and they're exhausted all the time. You know, somebody asked me recently, because I'm not like a spring chicken, uh, do I am thought stick as well? Yes, they do. I am. I am exhausted or I'm exhausted. They stick to you like glue. So if you have something positive, I am joy filled. I am joy filled. Those can stick with you as well. So decide which you want to be. What do you want to stick around? All the negative thoughts or the positive thoughts? So that lady never said to me, I have a tragedy. You can call it a situation. A situation is sort of good, Amy, the boomerang effect. Very true. You got to get your chat box open, everybody. We got good, smart people making comments here. So instead of, I just had a tragedy. You know, my husband had something really bad happen to him. He's been in the hospital with sepsis. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to spell it for you. Go look it up because you don't want anybody in your life to ever get it. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's a blood disease that can get into your bones, and an infection goes throughout your body. It attacks your major organs. It's a horrible thing. Now, every time the nurses came in, I say it's our room because I was there a lot. They wouldn't let me stay overnight, but I was there from 8 to 8 every day. And sepsis is deceiving because you can't tell that that's what it is at first until it's really out of control. But nurses would come to our room and they would say, Golly, you guys are, how do you stay so happy? How can you be so positive? You know, what is it that you're thinking about in here? The energy's different in here. We never became a victim. That's a choice. It was a bad situation, but guess what? We could take control of that situation with everything that we could do. So we didn't talk about it as a tragedy, a disaster, a horrible thing. You know, hey, this is a temporary situation and we're going to get through it. So you can change anything that has come up in your own mindset, so it doesn't have to stay. You get to be in control of that. So here's a couple of other disempowering and empowering. So we had overwhelm, you know, instead of tragedy or disaster, it's a situation. This is the big one. This is the word that people use the most. And I want you to say it after I say it, and then look at your face on the screen if you can. Just say the word but. But. It's kind of an ugly word. It's prune mouth. Now say the word and. And makes you smile. So the word but, most people get in the habit of butting others and butting themselves. So how do we butt ourselves? I had a pretty good month, but I didn't do this. I had a great day, but I forgot to call so-and-so. So we find ways to discount whatever it was that we thought was a good thing that now we turned it into a bad thing. So instead of but, use the word and. You know, I had a pretty good day, or I had a good day, and tomorrow what I'm going to do is this. And tonight what I'm going to follow up with is this. And so enlightened vocabulary, it's a subject that could take an hour just on that one thing. Because what I want you to do is start listening to your words. Listening to your words. And by the way, we do it with kids. You had pretty good grades, but what happened here? So they didn't hear you had pretty good grades. All they heard was, but what happened here? So be aware. Enlightened vocabulary is important to learn for everybody. I want to go into contrast versus clarity. I'm so glad that you got that one. Amy, you remembered it from before. That's a good thing. So most people, or many people, speak in contrast. So again, put on the left-hand side of the page, contrast, put on the right-hand side of the page, clarity. If you're speaking in contrast, we create confusion with people. They're not quite sure what we're thinking. So anything that starts with don't, no, or not is going to create contrast or lack of clarity. So be careful of those phrases. don't, no, no, and not. So here's one. No problem. All you Aussies use that a lot. No problem. What is the word that you hear when you hear no problem? One word jumps out at you. Problem. We have a problem here. So instead of no problem, that's easy. I can do that. That's a very different feeling, a different sense, a different thought process. So here's another one. People say, well, how are you doing today? I don't know. That just leaves a lot of ambiguity there. They're not really sure what you're thinking. Instead of, I don't know. If you're really not sure, just say, let me ponder that for a minute. What one thing is going well today? And have something good to say about that. People need encouragers. You know, we're in the elections again in our country, and there's a lot of negativity out there talking bad about this person or that person or others. And what I'm saying to you is to really, really work on thinking in positive format, thinking about what is possible, thinking about how can I frame this to make a difference for other people. So here's another Aussie one that they use a lot. No worries. Hey, can you do this for me? No worries. What do you hear? Worry. I'm worried about this. So instead of no worries, I can do that. That's not a problem. That'll work. That's workable. Anything else besides no worries? How about this one? Don't hesitate to call me. What do people do? Hesitate. Don't hesitate to call me is hesitate. So I apologize that I've got a few children outside my window. Just a moment. Okay, now we'll see how they do. So my apologies, but that we've just got a little crazy day going on, and I'm the drop-off center, so that's okay. We're getting through it. So I know that when you say no worries, people get worried. So think of something else instead of no worries. I can do that. I can make that happen. And how are you doing today? Not bad. Not bad. So what is not bad? That is not good. So instead of not bad, I have, how are you doing today? Oh, I love to say this. I have a full life. It's how you say it too. Another one I'd like to say is, I'm filled with joy. You know, my little grandbaby's coming over. Not the most opportune time, but guess what? It makes me happy to see them happy. I'm happy that I could do something to support my daughter with something that she's got going on. So, you know, it's how you look at the world. Some people look out the window and I'm looking at the mountains next to my house. Right through my banana trees are all the beautiful mountains. And some people would look out there and see a cloud. Oh, it's probably going to rain. I look out there and see the beautiful formations of the clouds and think, wow, isn't it a beautiful day? How do you see the world? Is that glass half full or half empty? You're in control of your mind. You're in control of your thoughts. You get to decide how you're going to think today and what you're going to focus on. So contrast and clarity, and there's a lot more about that I would like to share with you. I just know that when you are aware of how you're speaking, when you are aware of how you respond to questions, how you doing today? Not bad. Well, what does that give to the other person? You see, when you smile at someone and say, I'm doing great today. I'm having a blessed day. I met a lady this morning. I went to go look at an apartment that my sister's going to move into. And she's moving back from the mainland, and she was so excited about this apartment. And this lady, that she has a flower company, which is really interesting because I was in need of some flowers, and so we were able to do that. But she said, the name of my company in Hawaiian is Blessings. And she said, so every time I make a flower, a bouquet, a lei, an arrangement, I say a blessing for the person that ordered the flowers, and I say a blessing for the person that is receiving the flowers. And I thought, wow, what a great attitude. What a great gift to give to people. You see, the more you give, the more you receive. It just is an automatic thing. Just make that choice every day when you get up. So let's talk about self coaching for a second. This is a skill I learned from my mother, and she was a blessing to me and still is. Her ideas, her thoughts, her beliefs have been passed on now to several generations and millions of people that I've been able to share her with. And she probably was the most positive person I've ever known in my entire life. And my dad was very, very logical. You're going to learn about how to apply DISC in communication in our master class that we're going to teach on August 19th. So my dad was a C S, and my mother was a high I with some D. And she would get things done, but I'll tell you, she did it with joy in her heart. And such a great role model for me to look at and to learn from. So I learned about self coaching because I came home from school one day and I said, Mom, why is so and so so mean? And she said, Nikki, ask yourself a different question. If you ask that question, you're going to get an answer that's not going to move you forward. It's going to keep you stuck where you are. So ask yourself a different question. And I really had to think for a minute. See, questions make your mind work stronger. I think people that use a lot of questions don't get it. Alzheimer's is easy because your mind's working a lot. Anyway, so I said, what can I do to make so and so a happier person? What can I do to bring more joy into their life so they're not so negative? And it was interesting because as I then practiced that, I noticed she lightened up a lot and she wasn't as mean. She wasn't particularly mean to me, but I know she was even less mean to other people. Sometimes people that are kind of mean feel bad about themselves. There's nothing in their mind that is good about themselves. Just like people that show a lot of judgment of other people are very judgmental of themselves. That's just an automatic. So be aware that we can help somebody see the world differently, but we can do this for ourselves too. So self-coaching, questions that begin, and if somebody would write this into the chat box, I'd appreciate it. Questions that begin with who, what, when, where, how. Who, what, when, where, how. Just like coaching another person, this is coaching yourself. Who, what, when, where, how. Don't ask yourself why. Why is a question that has a lot of judgment attached to it. So always focus on those kinds of questions to get yourself better result. So every morning I ask myself, what am I looking forward to today? What am I most excited about today? What's going to be the best thing that's going to happen today? Who do I get to meet today? Who have I not met yet? When will be my favorite part of the day? Where will I go today? How will I make this happen? Every day I start my day with those questions before my feet hit the floor in the morning, because what I really want to do is show up the best I can be for myself and for other people. And when I manage my own thinking, all of a sudden it's like I have a opportunity to shift a pattern that maybe I didn't sleep very well last night. Maybe I had a nightmare. Maybe I had a horrible day yesterday. I don't want to start my day the same way today. So I'm going to find something different to look forward to. What am I most excited about today is a great question versus what do I have to do today? What do I get to do today? What do I get to do today? This is all mind management, folks. Learning to take care of your thinking. When I lived in Dallas, Texas, before we moved back to Hawaii, my Sunday school teacher was Zig Ziglar. And some of you youngins may not know who that was, but go look him up. Zig, Z-I-G, Z-I-G-L-E-R. He was my Sunday school teacher at my church. And he'd say, you got to get rid of the stinking thinking so you can have thinking that serves you. thinking that supports you. But each of you is in control of that. I can't do it for you. But awareness is the first step. Being aware, self-aware. So what you put in your mind throughout the day. I don't know if you ever have people that you have to talk to that are, this is not a real word, I guess, but poopy people, people that are poopy, people that aren't very nice. Well, sometimes I come across a few of those. And, you look at your phone and go, oh no, it's the poopy person. Or do you say, how can I deal with this now and maybe make a difference for her? What I've learned is I know that there are people in your life that sometimes aren't the kindest, that sometimes say mean things or hurtful things. If I ignore them, it isn't going to go away because they're going to just keep calling back. I'd rather just get that over with. So sometimes I'll say, who can I call first so that I have that part of my day behind me and maybe make a difference for them? How can I get this uh, aside so then I can enjoy the rest of my day too? So just know you're going to find all kinds of people in this world. One thing about direct selling, you will grow in your people skills. You will grow in your communication skills. You will grow in growing yourself. You can't help it. You're just around too many great people, which is a really good thing. So that whole thing of self-coaching, I'm going to tell you this, your night questions are the most important questions that you have because that goes into your subconscious, into your mind. And every night you want good things going into your mindset so you have a better day the next day. So again, what am I looking forward to tomorrow? What was the best thing that happened today? Whose life will I make a difference in tomorrow? Who can I make smile tomorrow? What are the top 3 things I choose to accomplish tomorrow? That's called pre-paving. You're putting yourself on the road to success. It's planning for success. And that's a really, really good thing. So the night questions are so important for you to be able to sleep your best and so that you can get the most out of that next day. I said that I was going to talk to you a little bit about your listening skills. And you can start by listening to yourself, listening to how you say things. It's not just the words themselves, it's how you say them. Okay, draw a circle on your paper and pretend this is a clock. Also, it's a piece of pie. So at 12 o'clock, draw a line right to the center, and about 1:30, put the second hand. So between 12 and 1:30. And put 7%. That's 7% of the message we're going to talk about first. Then you go from the center again over to about 5 o'clock. And that space between the 7 and the 5, or between the 1:30 and the 5, that is how you say your words. So that's 38% of the message. So 7% of the message is your words, 38% is how you say your words, your voice, your pitch, your tonality, your speed. That remaining big old piece is 55%. So 55% of every message is what you're doing with your physiology, with your body. So it's not just the words. In fact, that's a tiny bit. And look how much I spent on words. But it's the words have feeling. Words have meaning attached. Words have weight. So, and then when you say them with anger, like, why'd you do that? Ugh, that just sucks your energy. So I know, like, people are texting every day these days, a lot of texting going on. The only thing you really have to work with is 7% of the message. You can use emojis and things, but there's still a lot of room for confusion. So you're always better off to speak with someone and to speak with someone where they could see you with what your physiology is doing. So it's like saying to me, well, that's a good idea. Well, you got the idea that I really didn't think it was a good idea, even though I said that. My head was shaking no, and my voice was going, oh, this is like stupid. So be aware of how congruent you are with your language, your physiology, and the way the words sound to have better results. And then learn to listen. We call it heart-centered listening. And that's a coaching skill. And by the way, we have a great coaching school that's coming up. It's on the events page. If you haven't taken it yet, it'd be very important for you to do. I'm going to tell you that I've learned that listening is the best form of communication, because if all you're doing is talking, you're not really understanding what that other person is thinking or feeling. So we listen to the meaning behind the words. So husband comes in the door tonight, or partner, and you say, well, how was your day today? And they go, oh, fine. It wasn't so fine. They said it was fine. It wasn't so fine. So tell me, what happened today? Stop what you're doing and listen. Ask a question and listen. So, and by the way, I never ask, how was your day doing? Because that gives them the opportunity to say fine, and it maybe wasn't so fine. So my kids come home from school, or my husband comes home from something. What was the best thing that happened while you were gone? What was the best thing that happened at school today? And at first, I remember the little ones, they'd always say lunch. That was my favorite part of the day, but it's lunch. Then it was recess. And then I learned to say, besides lunch and recess, what was the best part of your day today? And it's amazing. They talk. If we can get children to talk at very young ages and communicate with you, it keeps the door open for communication as teenagers and young adults. And I know that just those few extra minutes of being present, 100% present, is the best gift you can give somebody. That's why it's called the present. It's a gift. So today, you've got a lot of opportunity for things that you can practice and work on. Who can you really listen to? You were on this call and maybe your kids were home and they're in the other room, or they're outside playing or whatever, and you wanted them to be quiet. Now's the time to get them to talk. So, like for me, my babies are right outside the window here in the pool. And what I'm going to do is ask, what are you most excited about for today? What are you guys going to play in the pool? Now it's time for you to have fun and just play and be loud. And I can't wait to see how y'all do with your swimming. How long can you hold your breath? Find something to make that connection. Because you know what we say to kids when we're on the phone? It's just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. To them, a minute is an hour. They don't know what it is anymore. I used to use an egg timer when I'd go on the phone. And when it ran out, I had one in my room and they had one out there, and they knew that's how long I was going to be on the phone. Otherwise, I'd said, it's 10 minutes. I'm going to set a timer on the oven in 10 minutes and I'm going to be done. And I'd set a timer on my watch, because when you say got a minute, people don't just have a minute. They come and they want 20 minutes of your time. So we got to teach children from a young age. What is a minute? How long is a minute? Or is it really 10? So there's so much on this subject and so many things more beyond this that I could share with you. But I want to share one thing that's coming up, and then I'm going to give you some time for you. Maybe not. Just give me a second. I'm going to have some time for you to be able to ask questions on anything that you'd like to ask a question on. So, okay, I found what I'm looking for. Yay! And now I'm going to bring it up on the screen so you'll be able to take some notes and to see what that is. And so I'll do more, share, and this is it. Yay! So the date is August the 19th. That's the day of this class. And you can go to DSWA.org, and I think it's /results. So I'm almost positive that's what it is. It's /results. So this is what it looks like, and it's a 90-minute class, and we're going to cover a lot more than what we did today. And particularly a big factor is going to be how to use DISC in your communication to understand other people. We were going to charge $89, and I decided, nope, we're going to charge $59. So let anybody know that would like to be on there to come look at this. You will get a link to this on the with the recording that's going to go out tomorrow. Since you registered for the class tomorrow, you'll be able to do that that also. So I am going to see if I have it in here to make sure I told you exactly what this was. I know it's August 19th. So again, write down that date. And it is a master class. And yep, that's it. DSWA.org/results, RESULTS. So take the time to go see what that's all about. So now I'm going to give you a chance to ask questions or share things, or what was your biggest takeaway, your aha. If you need to unmute yourself, you can do that, or you can, I'm going to do a view here, or you can just raise your hand. And if I can see you, we can do that. Hi, Jody. Glad that you're on. Thanks for joining us. I recognize several beautiful people that are here with us. So, thank you, Jody. Aloha to you too. So, anybody have a question, a comment, a thought, or want to know more about what's going to happen in the master class? Or you'd like to be coached on something that I brought up today that you're just not sure of what it is? Speak up, because you have to unmute yourself, though. This is free to use, so bring it on.
So Nikki, this is Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hi. For the master class, having the disc model for yourself would be probably helpful to use for that. And then we'll have some interaction, or will it towards the end for question and answers?
There will be interaction, and there will be an opportunity for Q&A at the end too. And yes, knowing yourself is part of DISC, because it's understanding how you think, how you respond to things, or how you react to things. That's all important, but it's really being able to identify other people is the most important skill, because then you know how to adjust for those people. So, but if you understand a little bit about this, that will be helpful. And a great book that we have on our website, I didn't write it, but it's a good book, is Positive Personality Profile. We sell that in the store. But you also, and if you, we're just in the process of changing to our new site, so I don't even know if they got the store moved over. So you could
Okay.
also write to coach at dswa.org, and she would be able to direct you to how to get that. But because we also have a personality profile that you can take. There's a little small one, and there's a big one. It's called the Success. What is it called? Success Profile. It's called the Success Profile. Okay, so somebody's also trying to mute. It says my silent self-talk is even worse than my out loud language. Holy smoke! Well, that's good to know. So thank you for bringing that up. So Jody, Jody, did I answer your question for you? I got sidetracked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that was super helpful. Yeah. Yeah, definitely want to learn a little bit more on communicating with the other personality traits.
Mhm.
And then I'll email coach or success at your email address to find the store, because I wasn't able to find the store the last time I was on the website.
Okay, because I don't know if they've put it up there yet. We're in the process of transitioning a lot of great new things, and a lot of great new benefits for being a part of DSWA too. So make sure you keep checking back with that. Thank you, Jody. So Kathy says my silent self-talk is even worse than my out loud language. For most people say things side to ourselves that we would never say to somebody else. So it's becoming aware of yourself, becoming aware of not even what you said out loud. You can reverse or cancel clear. If you said something, if you just said, man, I'm stupid. And maybe that came from a mom or a dad or a teacher's ex-husband, hopefully ex, someone that used that language with you in your past, and now you're carrying it forward. When you said it, say, oh, I'm so stupid. Cancel, clear. I have I have good intelligence and I choose to reframe what I just said. What would be a good thing for me to say right now that would be empowering? You can say this out loud when you're not with other people. People do think you're strange when you're talking to yourself. I've noticed that. But if you can say it in your head and kind of clear it out when you're with people, that's okay. Take the time to clear it out. And that's called your inner critic. And I just put my hands, go ahead and put your hands right here. And then we're going to push those thoughts away and just say, you're out of here, baby. When that inner critic shows up, you're out of here, baby. That's one you got to do by yourself too, because they think you're talking to them, you know? So, but just clear it. Sometimes I'll just do this. As trained as I am on this, and as much as I've taught it, every once in a while, one will slip in. And I really do hear myself, but I cancel it right away and reframe it to something more positive. So anybody else, you can write into the chat box, or you can do the other. I used to do this. She says, I'm going to use the rubber band on my wrist to recondition. I've done that. I used to have a big fat rubber band, and if I did something, I'd snap it. And that can work if pain works for you. Sometimes people don't move to action based on pain. So you got to find out, watch it, and decide if it's working for you. Anybody else with a comment or a thought, put into the chat box or unmute yourself and ask whatever question you'd like.
This is Karen. Can you hear me?
Barely. If you could speak up a little bit,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Um, the entire presentation was or is enlightening. The contrast versus clarity really hit me because I believe sometimes people try, and myself included, to, for lack of a better word, you might say, I don't know, or no worries. And by day, I'm a high school teacher, and the easiest way to get out of an answer is I don't know, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? So yeah, so this is very enlightening. I appreciate the Zoom tonight.
Thank you, Karen. And I'm glad that you did. Let me ask you this. When you're coaching somebody, and this could be the same thing in the classroom. By the way, we have a Coach Excellence School for Educators. So we just teach teachers how to do this. I was a teacher.
Oh, wow.
And nobody taught me as a teacher how to use coaching in the classroom, which
Okay.
massively increases the results in the children. But anyway, I
Awesome.
have learned when someone says, I don't know, Karen, if you thought about it a little bit more and you really did know, what do you think you would say then? What would your answer be? And it's like going in your brain a little deeper and they come up with the answer. It is really weird. I know, Karen, that you're really a sharp person. And I know if you thought about that just for a few minutes, you could come up with that answer, the best answer for you. So what do you think that answer might be? And it's
I
weird.
love that. Mhm.
It's like when the kids come to you and say, I can't find my socks. I can't find my socks. Well, where do you think your socks might be? Well, I don't know. Well, if you thought about it a little bit more and you really did know where they'd be, where do you think they might be? Under my bed. I mean, I can remember as clear as a bell when my son told me that he knew exactly where they were. Well, if you'd like to get them washed, where could you put them next time? In the hamper. What a
That's
great
right.
idea. You are so resourceful.
Oh, I love it.
It's an interesting conversation. And people in direct selling do it all the time. They call you because they want you to be the answer queen. They want you to have all the answers. So therefore, they call you to give them the answers instead of thinking for themselves. So
So true.
instead of giving people the answers, you know, I know, Susan, how bright you are. And I bet you if you thought about that just for a second, you could find those answers. You find the answer to that. Like where do you find the shipping policy? Well, where do you think the shipping policy might be to make it easy for people to find? Would probably be under policies. Well, let's go there together. Where in that back office are the policies? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look here. Now, looking down that table of contents, where do you see policies? Oh, it's right here. So let's go there. So what makes it easier for you to find a certain policy? What's at the top? Oh, a search button. Great. So let's put in shipping policy. What does it say? Now, I'm telling you, I'm teaching the fisher women to fish because we keep throwing them the fish and they go, oh, waiting for the answer. I want them to find their own answers, to empower them.
Yeah.
Make a difference?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. What
Welcome.
grade do you teach, by the way?
9 through 12.
So you've got a very interesting group of determined people who think they're adults.
Correct.
Wait,
You're
anybody
welcome.
else? Here I see Susan. I love that you like to chat in the box. She says, as you said in the beginning, slow down. Don't be afraid of silence. So I'm going to tell you, by the way, is it too noisy in the background? My grandbabies are doing something in the water. You can't hear them? Oh, I'm not going to say anything to them then. They'll let them just play. That'll be fun. Okay, so you said in the beginning, slow down. Don't be afraid of silence. It's called the precious pause. The precious pause. Have silence to open your mind to discover or to let the other person have an opportunity to think and discover their own answers. Silence is golden. Silence is golden. And if you're having a hard time with being silent, try this. It's better than Botox and you you'll have nice puffy lips. But or you can do this and just hold them shut because we want to talk. And it's in the listening that we learn. Take the time to listen to people. Anybody else? A comment in the chat box or something you'd like to say? So I definitely want to give you that. So that event, you can't register for yet today. It's not an event calendar for the 19th, but you can, when you get the recording tomorrow, there'll be a link and you'll be able to register for that and you'll get more. And you're going to have some time to think about these things between now and then so that you'll have more questions and get more thoughts that are serving you well. Here is one. It distracts. I'm going to use, it distracts. That's true. That was for rubber band on the arm. It is a distraction. That's called a pattern interrupt. When you can interrupt your own pattern or that of somebody else, they move down a different path. Your mind moves down a different path. And that is good news. So don't be afraid of silence. Kathy says, I have done a few of your classes. You have such a way with words. Thank you. I know that I know that I know I need that master class. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm intimately familiar with this, but I want to get better with communication. You're going to have a benefit because you have some background on this. That's a part of the class, but there's so many other pieces to it. And there's a handout that comes with it. So you'll be able to print that handout up before the class. And there are slides that come with it. So you'll be able to take pictures of the slides if you want. So I'm going to tell you, DISC is a tool. It's not the end all. And for those of you who don't know what DISC is, it's a behavioral style, an assessment of behavior. Some people say assessment of personality. I think personality, you're kind of stuck with. Behavior you can change and you can adjust. So that's why I like behavioral style. But it is an important tool in this business because you've got to be able to listen to somebody, watch somebody, hear what they're saying, listen to the word choices that they make to get to know what that style is so you can adjust for them. Don't expect anybody else to adjust for you. Most people aren't skilled enough, but you can adjust for other people. So that's a good thing once you learn that. Anybody else with anything else that you'd like to share? I'm here for you, and I'm so excited for you to be part of the master class. And those master class we get into in depth, so it's a really good thing that you'll get a lot out of that. And Cheryl, I'm glad that you got to meet Zig Ziglar. He's quite a remarkable. He was. The last thing he spoke at was at the DSWA event in Dallas, Texas, and I got to interview him in front of everybody, and he just was a remarkable man. But go study his work, everybody. He's all over the internet. You'll find him, and a great person to learn from. Well, I am going to wrap it up for tonight unless anybody else. Raise your hand, speak up, or type in the box. I am all here for you. And Jody, mahalo in Hawaiian means thank you. And I know Jody knows that. So mahalo to all of you. And aloha, aloha means hello. It means goodbye. And it means I love you. And I'm sending love to all of you. And know that this is your day. You're just going to be blessed today. Something good is coming your way. You have an expectation to have something good come your way. We're not going to dread the horrible thing that could happen. This has been our week. My husband came home from the hospital and he'd had the sepsis. So he had a walker, but he could get up at this point after a month in the hospital. And then so my husband comes home. My daughter-in-law goes out to walk the dogs on the bike. They do it every day. Their dogs run and take off. And the chain broke on the bike. The bike turned and went out in the road, and a car hit her bike, didn't hit her. She was bleeding everywhere and so on. So she's with a walker. She was supposed to start school teaching today at Kamehameha, and she didn't go. So, it's you have to find something fun in it. What a coincidence that we happened to have an extra walker in our home because of all the things that have happened with us. But you know what? She was blessed. The car stopped. It missed her, went up on the curb, and stopped to see how she was. And, that's not a coincidence. That's not an accident. Blessings come when you sort of believe that that they're there for you. So have a blessed day. Take care and know that you're loved by everybody at DSWA. Thanks so much. Aloha.